Welcome to another episode of the Award Central podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we're going to dive into two categories we have yet to talk about yet. First, Best Director, and second, the brand new category of Best Casting, which should really be interesting. And I have some thoughts about that. But as always, I'm joined by my partner here, Benji. How are you today, man?
Very good. Always happy to be back talking about the award season, and it's October now, so it's upon us. We've got Golden Globe nominations in December, critics nominations are going to be coming out soon. So this is a time of year where I think we all get very excited. Things start to shift into place.
It is. It is. I'm pretty excited about it. And obviously, over the next month or so, we'll do some predictions on Critics' Choice. We'll do some predictions on Golden Globes as well. We're not just going to talk about Oscars, but until we inch closer to those time frames, that's when we'll hit on it. But before we dive in, some of the biggest news of the last week was Chase Infinity. She is shifting from what everybody presumed to be the supporting actress into the lead category. Benji, what are your thoughts on this switch? And then what are your thoughts on the potential nomination?
It's a brave move because in previous years, young actors and actresses tend to struggle more to get into the leading roles. But at the same time, it kind of does make sense. I mean, she's very much on the crack of lead and supporting, but out of all of the actresses within One Battle After Another, she's definitely the most of a lead out of all of the female cast. So in that aspect, it makes sense. And also, this year might be one of the few years where it's a better move than supporting, because as we've discussed before, Best Actress is becoming weaker and weaker and weaker by the day. I mean, I think there's only three right now that I'm even confident, close to semi-confident getting in. It's a real open race. And if One Battle After Another is going to be this big player that wins all these Oscars, including Best Picture, spoiler alert, Best Director, then I actually think it's a move that could potentially pay off. And another spoiler alert, but for this moment in time, I do have her in my top five.
Yeah, me too. Obviously, when we update our picks, I really feel like this was a smart move because I feel like this really opened the door for Tiana to get nominated now too, and I really feel like this could get all four acting nominations, which would be fantastic, obviously, for the film. And as we start to talk about, we were talking about, can One Battle really approach the double digits of nominations? And I really feel like this opens that door, right? Because I think it has the potential of all four acting. It has the potential of director. It has the potential of picture. Not potential, like the directing, and I think a picture definitely a locks. But I think if it opens the door, those six plus screenplay, we're at seven already, and we haven't even touched on anything else yet. And that's the big categories. You know what I mean? And then of course the casting is obviously going to be involved because if you're talking about nominating four of the actors across all four categories, then casting's in the picture. So then, of course, casting's in there as well. So now we're already at 8 for One Battle After Another before even really diving into any of the below the line stuff. And I think score is going to be in play as well. So there's definitely a One Battle's double digit opportunity is still there. Yeah.
We haven't even discussed about, and this is for another episode, but there's also potential fifth acting nomination of Benicio del Toro gets lucky. It's not out of the question.
There's a lot of love for Regina too. So like it's I don't know. There's a lot going on, and Benicio, again, a very lovable guy as well, and his performance in it's really, really good. You know what I mean? So it's like I really like the idea of that as well. But again, we're at like 8 nominations without even scratching the surface of like really diving deep into any of the other categories. But that's not why we're here. We're going to start off with Best Casting, right? The first year ever of the Best Casting nomination. Everybody for years has been ranting, raving about the idea of what this would look like. How are they going to make it happen? And they finally have it. And it's quite exciting to think about. And I feel like there's quite a few contenders here that could potentially be strong, right?
There's a few that could be very strong. And honestly, I think any could potentially win. I mean, I do have my thoughts on what the number one will probably be, but let's not disregard anything because this is a new category. We don't actually know how voters are thinking when voting in this category. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes it so exciting. I mean, it's the first time in my lifetime that they've brought in a new category. I mean, we had the sound categories combined, but in terms of just a pure new category, this hasn't happened in years. And it's going to be really interesting to kind of see the logic that goes behind the nominations and also the eventual winner, probably.
Yeah, because one of the things that's interesting for me as well is like you almost look at it on the surface. Is this going to be a category where they try to reward films that aren't in the big picture of things, or do they stick to the bubble of, hey, these guys we're acting nominations across here, we have this across here, like what does an ensemble look like? Because you know what I mean, like that's going to be the interesting thing. Like, are we looking from top of the build sheet to the bottom of the build sheet? You know what I mean? That to me is where I think is essential, because there's a lot of films that are top heavy but not worthy of a casting nomination. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking for, especially like SAG Ensemble is something that's similar. You know what I mean? Like you're not similar in a way, but like you're thinking of an entire cast, you know what I mean, from top to bottom. So there's a lot of films in my head that I think, hey, these are potentials. Now, we obviously are going to talk about our five, but what I want you to give me is some that are on the cusp, not the five yet. I just want to hear some of the ones that you have on the cusp of being potentially nominated here.
So the one I'm flip flopping between 5 and 6. I currently have on my number 6 as sentimental value, because it doesn't have that kind of big ensemble-y feel to it. I'm unsure whether they're gonna go for it. I mean, it deserves it. It's got some of the best performances from an ensemble out of the whole year. But again, we're going into this not knowing their mentality, so that's one to look out for. One that I would have had potentially winning a few months ago that's dropped right down now is Jay Kelly, because we're not even sure if any of the actors are going to get nominated at this point. So the idea of a movie that's kind of gone way below the radar, that might not even get any acting nominations, kind of feels odd to then even nominate an ensemble. But it also feels like the type of movie that could end up resurging and just becoming a beloved thing that we all underestimated, a lot like Elvis. Um, Marty Supreme, I'm really having a hard time with, because a part of me really wants to put it in there. But then again, we, apart from the lucky fuckers, and I'm jealous of all of you that got to see it at New York Film Festival, we don't actually know much about that and how kind of the ensemble, how much each actor's in it. Again, obviously there's Gwyneth Paltrow and Timothy Chalamet, but then and then there's Larry. Is it Larry O'David? Is that his name? Shark Tank guy.
Yeah. No, Kevin
Um,
O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary. I don't know where I got that. Kevin O'Leary. But he's not much of like, well, he's not even an actor. He was just cast in this movie because of his persona. And again, I'm unsure whether the Academy are going to look at it and go, that's got a lot of famous people in and they're all very good. Let's nominate that. Or this movie's ensemble worked the best, so we're going to nominate that. So considering if they were to go with the first option, you've only got Gwyneth Paltrow and Timothy Chalamet there. So I've got it at 8 for now, but kind of anything could change. And then another movie that I'd love to see in, and I'm kind of stroking my ego a little bit, Weapons would be fucking awesome, because that had some of the best performances from an ensemble of the year, in my opinion. I mean, each actor got their own kind of segment to really prove themselves. I liked the way that everything kind of came together with the actors. So that would be cool, but again, I feel like that'd be riding off of an Amy Madigan nomination, which we don't even know if that's going to happen yet.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to kind of put yourself in that bubble of trying to figure out and navigate some of those. You know what I mean? Because like you said, like a few months ago, like Jay Kelly, After the Hunt would have been in the conversation, and both of those films seem to kind of be slowly dwindling down in the conversation of where they're at. You know what I mean? Like the Smashing Machine, even Kiss of a Spider Woman was in the conversation, but now we're slowly but surely. Bugani was in the conversation. I don't believe like Frankenstein might have been. I don't believe Frankenstein's in that conversation now. But
No.
you know what I mean? There's just a lot going on there. All right. Now talk to me about your 5 through 1 right now in the best casting.
Okay, so number 5, I have Wicked for Good. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that's my choice. Number 4, I have Hamnet. Number 3, Wake Up, Dead Man. Number 2, Sinners. Then number 1, One Battle After Another.
Yeah, yeah, mine's actually pretty close. The only one that I left out of yours was Wicked for Good, and that was one that I had on the cusp because the
Mhm.
only one that I'm close on, that I'm trying to figure out how I feel about, is House of Dynamite. That's my 5 right now. I think top to bottom, that cast is super, super, super strong. I just don't know how it's gonna play out. So right now, I'm a little bit favoritism towards House of Dynamite right now, and I think it's just my own favoritism. But I really feel like top to bottom, that cast is really,
Fair.
really strong from all different. And that's the thing, though, with that film, I don't foresee it getting any not acting nominations at all. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to show up here either. You know what I mean? Number 4, I actually have Hamnet. Number 3, Wake Up Dead Man. Number 2, right now I have one Battle at 2, and I have Sinners 1. It's flip flopped. Sinners is an
Very fair.
interesting film. It's a film that, as so many different movies continue to kind of underwhelm, it continues to find a resurgence, in my opinion. They're about to ramp up the award season for it in the middle of November. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of Coogler. You're going to start seeing a lot of Jordan. You're going to see a lot of Delroy. You're going to see a lot of this cast out there really promoting this film, obviously, because it came out earlier in this year. So they need to put it back fresh in people's minds. I have heard they're re-putting the film back in IMAX at some point in the next few weeks. So that's going to be interesting to see what that does for the film as well. But I really like Sinners as such a strong player, and I feel like a lot of people are discrediting this movie for God knows what reason.
So I think Sinners is a very close number 2, but the reason why I have one battle after another at number 1, even though my preferred pick would be Sinners, is that at the moment I don't have Sinners predicted for any acting nominations, unfortunately. But then one battle, Leo's a sure lock in to get nominated at this point. I think Tiana Taylor's a sure nomination potential win. I think Chase Infinity is at number 5. Sean Penn is definitely coming in for the nomination potential win, and then I also think Benicio del Toro. So that's 5 potential nominations, which close to never happens. And I'm not trying to say it will happen. I mean, the likelihood is that it probably won't happen. We're probably going to end up with 4 or 3. But even still, having a lot more nominations than your competition, I think, will probably come in handy for one battle after another, especially considering a voter that maybe doesn't take it as seriously, who's kind of just going through their battle, just kind of scrolling up their votes, going, oh, yeah, okay, well, I nominated all these actors, number Sinners. So, yeah, tick box one battle after another.
Yes, dude, that's the one. That's where it's going to be interesting. Like that's, and of course, like, and I think that's one of the coolest things is like one of the first times we're in a position where there's no real true data, so it's like everybody's kind of playing the same guessing game right now. All of us, awards people, are just having fun with the idea of what could potentially come from this. So that's really a fun aspect of things. So, all right, before we move on to director, give me your 5 through 1 on the best casting category.
So, number 5, I have Wicked for Good. Number 4, Hamnet. Number 3, Wake Up Dead Man. Number 2, Sinners. Number 1, one battle after another.
All right. For me, I have number 5, A House of Dynamite. Number 4, Hamnet. Number 3, Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery. Number 2, One Battle After Another. And I have Sinners currently winning in the top spot for best casting. All right. That's the perfect segue. Moving over to best director. Another, in my opinion, loaded category. I feel like we're kind of top heavy in some of the different aspects of this category. But in my opinion, I think that there's like a 4 and 5 might be one of the hardest things to predict right now because there's so many names in play. We've seen a lot of different names go up and down. Again, as we talk about some of these films that have not been so great, like, After the Hunt was in the conversation. Jake Kelly was in the conversation. Frankenstein's kind of on the cusp. Some of these movies are on the cusp, but at the same time, it's not really showing to be a big player. You know what I mean? Even like the Ballad of a Small Player was supposed to be in the conversation, but that doesn't look like it's going to be anything at all now. So That being said, where are you currently at on the outside looking in? Not nominations, on the outside looking in.
So I don't want to jump the gun because I know this probably definitely won't be the 5 come nomination morning, but I'm pretty confident on my 5. But kind of looking at it, I think my number 6 is, I'm gonna have to remind myself to say it, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. It's definitely my number 6. They've gone really international these past few years, and even though I have sentimental value in there, spoiler alert, whoops, I still do think there's a possibility that we could get 2 in. It won't be the first time it happens, and I am down for that. Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, if that becomes like a top 6 contender, top 6, top 7, I definitely think he could push out my number 5. And then, if I'm being honest with you, there's only one more left, and I'm very 50-50 on it. I feel like it could either really be a thing or just die, and that's Park Chan-wook for No Other Choice. So he's never been nominated. He's getting some of the best praise of his career for this movie. That some people are calling it his best film, and a lot are saying it's one of his very best, at least. So he does kind of have its kind of it's his time kind of thing going for him. And even though he's a Korean director, and I know we're all still living up with the hype of Bong Joon-ho winning 5 years ago, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again. It really depends the type of attention that this movie gets and whether that keeps on surging and how much this is going to be pushed by Neon. So I'd love to see it happen. I fucking love Park Chan, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, that's one that I have like consistently circled on my list of being on the cusp of, man, I really would like to see it. But as we start to look at the 5 and start to look at some of the potential here, I just don't see it happening. And that's where, there's a big battle of that right now. Like there's just so many categories, I feel like, where it's like, I really want to go here, but it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? There's another nomination that it's not going to happen. I personally feel like it should happen. And that's Joseph Kosinski for F1, the movie. I think it's one of the best directed movies of the year. The name is just circled as just somebody that I want to continuously bring up that has no chance because it's a film that I love. But I feel like I do think that Apple's going to push it because they should. I still feel like that movie, and this is not just talking about for director, but in general, I do think it has a chance at some of the below the line categories. And I feel like it's got like a sneaky top 15 play of best picture. And I know it's probably crazy to say out loud, but it's just a gut feeling because it was very warm. It was receptive very well overseas. I think that because of that, and again, one of the big things that we keep talking about on the show is some of these other films faltering equates to other films earlier in the year that were very receptive, that have a potential to make some splashes in certain categories. Do I think Kosinski has a chance of being nominated? Probably not. It's like 1%. However, I do think that this movie is something that could re-enter the fold if they start putting it in front of people, which they already are, right? They did a big screening of it in LA with Pitt, Kosinski, even the driver, what's his name?
Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton was at the screening as well. You know what I mean? Lewis Hamilton was at the screening as well. So they did a big screening for it already. I expect them to continue to do so over the next couple months. But other than that, we have a lot of names that are out there. Obviously something like The Smashing Machine, we know which one at, the Venice Silver Lion. Benny Safdie's probably out of the conversation now. I mean, that we really didn't even talk about the fact that, there's a potential that The Rock is completely out of the conversation for Best Actor now, which is crazy to even think about, considering 2 weeks ago I was confident. I was on this podcast confident, and then it just went out there and faltered at the box office. I don't think the box office is going to completely hinder it, but it does not help its case at all.
Not at all, no.
Which is something to think about when it comes to F1. Like there is a correlation of the box office success of that movie, of movies in general. You know what I mean? It does play a factor in several different categories.
Well, but, I mean, think about Joseph Kosinski's last movie, Top Gun Maverick. I mean, the box office was practically what drove that into Best Picture. No pun intended.
And that movie became one of the biggest movies of the summer, which not a lot of people were kind of predicting. I think it went over almost $700 million worldwide. And it has
And
Apple.
$1 billion movie. Are you talking about F1 or Top Gun?
F1.
Oh, F1. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, still did very well. Yeah.
Yeah, $700 million film. Plus, it has Apple's backing, which, Apple wants those nominations. You know what I mean? Like that, you've seen them make a push for big time films, and
And
I think,
Apple was good at campaigning. I
yep.
mean, they got Coda Best Picture win, for fuck's sakes. There's your case.
The case closed. You know what I mean? It got a winning. It got Best Picture before Netflix did. So you know what I mean?
You got a Lifetime movie Best Picture.
Yeah, God, it's one of the worst of the last decade. All right. That being said, let's talk about the Best Director. Give me your 5 through 1 for Best Director.
So number 5, I have Josine Trier for Sentiment of Value. Number 4, Josh Safdie for Mighty Supreme. Number 3, Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Number 2, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Number 1, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another.
I felt really cool. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt really cool about one of my picks and thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw this one out here. I don't think he's going to be on the same wavelength for me. And then I think I often underestimate how sometimes we do actually think alike, because it's almost terrifying. Because I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw Safdie. I didn't have Safdie in there as of like an hour ago. And then I was sitting here and I was redoing the site, because I was like, I'm going to release the directors at the same time. And I had my most recent ones in there. And I was like, I had them at 6. And then I was like, you know what? Then you didn't bring them up in your on the cusp. And I was like, damn, he's going to go there with me too. So
caught you out.
You did. I went Safdie at number 5. And if you heard me talk earlier during Best Casting, it's a movie that I feel strongly about. I feel strongly about it because it is a 3-time nominee and a former Oscar winner. I think Catherine Bigelow is still in the conversation. It's just in my head. It's Bigelow. It's the Oscars. It's a really strong film, in my opinion, even though there's a lot of people that don't love the film. I really still feel strongly about it. Chloe Zhao, number 3 for Hamnet. Ryan Coogler, Sinners, number 2, and then PTA for One Battle After Another. My follow-up to that, Benji, is it really feels like this is PTA's year.
Yeah, really feels like it's PTA's year.
My biggest question to you is, it's PTA, in your opinion, do you feel like it's PTA or Chloe?
I definitely agree that they're the top 2, and I struggle to see a scenario where that changes. But if I had to kind of put it into odds, I'd say it's 80% PTA, 20% Chloe. Like One Battle After Another has just done an Oppenheimer this year, then some. Not so much, obviously not in terms of box office, but in pure like love and critical response, and everyone who sees this movie just loving it and getting on the same bandwagon. I haven't seen something like this probably since Parasite, where there's just this overwhelming love and praise. Like everyone loves it, everyone's getting behind it. I haven't seen a movie come out for so long where everybody agrees, oh yeah, best move of the year, best move of the year, best move of the year, best move of the year. So it's hard to see a scenario now, in my opinion, where PTA just doesn't take the win. Chloe Zhao, she won a few years ago, and obviously that doesn't always matter. I mean, Alejandro Iñárritu won twice 2 years in a row, but when you compare Nomadland to Hamnet, and then you look at One Battle After Another, the pure cinematic achievement of it, I mean, that final scene alone got it most of its Oscar nominations, in my opinion. I just think it's kind of a case closed until I'm proven otherwise.
Yeah, it's going to be hard pressed to see when the Critics Awards start rolling out. You know what I mean? Not nominations. Mm-hmm. Nominations is what PTA. Listen, I'm going to be if there's a ballot of any critics, your local critic ones, like the Florida Critics Awards thingamabobber.com thing, whatever it is, if there is a listing of nomination that comes out that do not include PTA, I'm going to side eye everything. You know what I mean? because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I'm not saying you have to have said it's the best, but there's no way you're going to tell me there is 5 better directed films this year. There's no way. You don't have to like the film to appreciate what that man did with that film. I'm
exactly.
just saying. I'm just saying. And
Exactly.
that's film criticism 101, really. You don't have to love a film. You can bash a film, but you could also like specific things about the movie that made you feel certain things. And to me, there's just no way to criticize the direction of that film. So again, like when you're thinking about this, everybody, it doesn't make you cool to leave PTA out. Let's just be real. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you cool.
Yeah, it doesn't make you. Yeah, but we all know what you're doing.
Exactly. All right. That being said, before we wrap up here, give me your 5 through 1 on best director one more time.
So number 5, I have Jocelyn Trier for Sentimental Value. Number 4, Josh Safdie for Mighty Supreme. I know that initial reactions can be misleading, but I just have a real hunch about that movie that makes me so confident. Said the same about One Battle After Another. That's my biggest show off of the year. So yeah, I'm sticking with it. Number 3, Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Number 2, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Number 1, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I've got number 5. I've got Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. I keep on being scared because I keep seeing the Uncut Gems comparisons, and I hate Uncut Gems, but hopefully it's better. Catherine Bigelow, House of Dynamite, number 4. Again, a film that I strongly believe in and believe in her as a director, and I believe in her ability to really wow people with on the campaign trail as well. Netflix is going to push the hell out of that. Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, number 3. Ryan Coogler, Sinners, number 2. And then, of course, I'm on the same boat as Benji here with Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, taking the number 1 spot across the board. It's crazy how we're sitting here in the middle of October, and it feels like we are on the verge of a dominant season from One Battle After Another, because that's really, really, really feels like where we're going, does it not?
It sure does, my friend. It sure does.
That being said, folks, again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We've got a lot of great reception to the podcast since it's come back, whether it's on YouTube or whether it is on podcast platforms. So we appreciate the continued support of that. As we ramp up closer and closer to the season, we are going to be more and more in your ears or on your eyes, or in your ears and on your eyes. I don't know, that sounded weird as hell. So we're just going to wrap this up now. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Wart Central podcast. We'll be back very, very soon.